Content will be about the first 6 weeks of the V-Cert Creative Design and Production qualification. Hi, I'm Beth. Just to introduce myself, I'm part of the provider development team at NCFE and my background is in art and design. I've worked in the design industry, but have taught art and design subjects from level 1 to 6 for nearly 20 years at an FE college. Here's the contents of the webinar. We will look at the introduction to the qualification and initial assessment for your learners, along with the focus for the first 6 weeks on the content area 1, really laying down the foundations for that year to secure strong understanding of the qualification terminology used within the design discipline, focusing on design movements and principles, along with key factors as well as environmental and social impacts on creative design. Qualification overview. Let's revisit the qualification overview delivered at our face-to-face events and our Discover webinars. The qualification structure and the content areas. The overview shows the guided learning hours, the 60-40 weighting, the non-exam and the exam assessment, along with the timings. There are 6 content areas within Creative Design and Production, and we will be focusing this webinar on Content Area 1 for the first 6 weeks. Design and production in context with creative design, giving your learners that really strong understanding from the offset. An overview recap of the qualification structure. You'll see the typical 2-year delivery model, which is the same for every V-Cert. This is only a suggestion and it is to help illustrate the new structure so you can visualize how it's going to work for you. Looking at the 2-year, the NEA could be delivered at any starting point. It doesn't have to necessarily be delivered from September, but it must be completed by the end of April. The first year is very much about laying the knowledge in preparation for the second year. A recap on the non-exam assessment and the exam assessment key points. The NEA covers assessment objectives 1 to 5 and the EA covers assessment objectives 1 to 3. The NEA is released in September, but as I said before, must be completed by the end of April, and the EA is sat in May-June time. The assessment objectives provide a consistent framework for learners and applied synoptically, allowing learners to show their knowledge, understanding and skills from across the full breadth of the qualifications. The AOs will be assessed against the content in our technical awards. They are AO1, recalling knowledge and showing understanding, AO2, applying knowledge and understanding, AO3, analyze and evaluate the knowledge and understanding, AO4, demonstrate and apply technical skills and processes, and AO5, manage and evaluate the project. Content Area 1, laying the foundations for the first 6 weeks. We will look more in depth at Content Area 1 and how it could be delivered over the first 6 weeks. This will be our main focus to lay the learner's knowledge and understanding. Content areas can be delivered in any format and alongside each other. However, to get the best starting point for learners, we will focus on this area, which will help give them the depth of understanding needed to be carried out throughout this qualification. Content Area 1, Design and Production. Here is an example from the specification, and it covers the following. 1.1, Design Movements. 1.2, Design Principles. 1.3, environmental impact of a product, and 1.4, impact of social factors on a product. Week by week overview, breaking down each area and following the design process, giving your learners that knowledge for the now and the lifelong learning. Each area will lead into the next with that core understanding of creative design and production. Week 1, the introduction and the initial assessment. Week 2, leading into the design movements. Week 3, onto design principles. And week 4, key factors. Week 5, environmental factors. Week 6, social factors. each area giving the long-term understanding of design. Week 1, starting with your initial assessment and the induction to the qualification. How your induction could be delivered. You will introduce the qualification to your learners, your expectations and their learning journey, the qualification overview and the content areas, learner books files, what format do you expect your learners to present their work in, archive work, this could be GCSE examples if you don't have any V-Cert examples at this point, show a visual roadmap of the qualification, giving the overview visually, equipment needed or what equipment your school has, online resources website, and online apps that your learners could use alongside their work. This is your new cohort. You may have taught this year group before previously, but see this as a new year, a new cohort. What have they experienced over the summer? Consider the list of what could impact their learning, their previous knowledge, skills and behaviours factor into this. This could be done through quizzes, questionnaires, KWL charts, a pizza wheel where learners colour in how confident they feel in different areas from written to drawing skills, or a visual board about them, what inspires them. Each learner will be at different starting points on the mountain. Week 2, look at the design movements and an overview timeline. In week 2, start looking at the different areas of art and design history, getting your learners familiar with the terminology, styles and dates. This could be delivered through a group task where each group is given an art movement to research and they feed back to the whole class, creating a project wall timeline which can be referred back to over the qualifications and added to, where learners could also photograph and add to their books, linking to that AO1, recalling the knowledge and showing understanding. Here are some examples of how the group work could look. It could be digital, hand-rendered, printed out, depending on the access and what facilities you have. Alongside the classroom activity, a homework task for your learners to reflect on art movements. Do they have a particular area that stands out to them? Recording knowledge of key dates, designers, and overall the movement. Week 3, design principles, areas of design. Start with discussing all the areas of design. Do your learners have a preferred area already or one that they are particularly interested in from your initial assessment? Following on from discussion, what makes a good design? Ask your learners to think of a well-designed item within their home or school or a design they have seen online. Learners could record through mind mapping as a group task or as in their own books. Looking at a great design for each of the areas from fashion item to product, really building up their knowledge and reference to refer back to over the qualification. Following on from what makes a good design, refer to the teaching content from the specification, diagrams 10 principles of design. Again, this could be evidenced through mind mapping task, a worksheet, or added to their books. Linking to that AO, recalling the knowledge and showing understanding. Ask your learners to look at the design item which they've selected and does it meet the 10 principles of a good design. At this point of week 3, learners will be wanting to start designing and drawing. To not get bogged down in art history and the design principles at this early stage of the qualification, you could start with a few taster workshops. This could be a drawing workshop such as a fashion illustration or a 2-point perspective drawing. It could be a mood board workshop looking at the different areas within design that inspires them, giving the learners hands-on workshop to inspire them and motivate learning, along with the understanding of the design principles in practice. Week 4, design principles and key factors. Week 4, start discussing terminology used. You may have already started visual language and communication in Year 9 or before. However, revisit and refresh memory. The list of key factors of visual communication is from the teaching content. This could be delivered in a word workshop, drawing the words as a visual, what the word would look like and the meaning behind the word. This can be revisited throughout the year and a reference for learners to refer back to. A creative dictionary supporting their written annotation of the qualification. This could also be added to the learner's books and again showing that recall of knowledge and understanding. Week 5, Environmental Impact, Classroom Discussion and Activity. Looking at the design and in the environment, this could be delivered as a classroom discussion. To start the classroom discussion, find some powerful images that trigger thoughts and opinions. Alongside, there could be a handout and learners write their thoughts next to the images to be added to their books. Discuss the impacts of the environment and design. Alternatively, you could watch an online documentary about the environment and design impact. Starting with key points to discuss or select at this stage and revisit over the year. The 6 R's, removal of trees, loss of habitat, pollution, damage to the environment, transportation, pollution from waste materials and increased disposal and landfill. These all don't have to be covered at this point. Select the areas you wish to cover first, and this example focuses on the 6 R's. An engaging activity could be a classroom workshop where learners bring in an item from the recycling bin and have a think how they could make it into a new product for their home. Consider the product's life cycle from the teaching content in the specification. Bring in objects from the recycling bin. What could it be reused into an object? Week 6, 1.4, Impact of Social and Factors, Classroom Discussion and Activity. Classroom discussion, again, this could be linked to visuals, discuss social factors, link back to the art movements, what social factors impacted Art Deco movement, for example, referring to that AO1, recalling the knowledge and understanding. Impact of social factors could be delivered in a mind map session. What social factors need to be considered for a design? Give an example of design items such as buildings, clothing, products for the home. Refer back to the good design your learners selected in week 3. Classroom discussion around barriers. You could deliver this through creating a fictional customer. Who would the customer be and what would you need to be considered designing for this customer? The next steps. Following on from the areas covered as an introduction, the core knowledge and understanding of creative design and production. Revisit throughout the year, covering the next content areas, referring to the design movements in further depth, the design principles, revisiting social and economical factors. Remember, the content areas can be delivered together or in any order that you feel works for your learners. This is something that Ofsted really want to see, how you take a curriculum and adapt it to your school and your learners. The next steps for covering all the content areas and preparing your learners, having that strong knowledge and understanding for the NEA and the EA in the second year. Resources and support. On our NCFE website, within the V-Cert page, you'll find the resources to support your preparation for delivery and assessment of this qualification. It currently includes the qualification specification, fact sheet, sample assessment materials, and sample mark schemes, which are also available on our Qual Hub. We also have our demand webinars on that NCFE YouTube. Lastly, the links to refer to if you require any further information and support. These links include the V-Cert page on our website and our CST if you need to contact them for further guidance about this qualification. Thank you very much for listening.